Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to imagine something. Imagine you're standing in a beautiful garden and someone hands you a handful of seeds. These seeds represent your habits, your attachments, your fears, all the things you hold on to. Some seeds grow into flowers, but some grow into thorns. And many of us unknowingly keep watering the thorns. So in this session, we're not here just to learn. We're here to unlearn, to let go. Because a better life doesn't always come from adding more. Sometimes it comes from releasing what's holding us back. So take a deep breath and prepare yourself. Because today we are going to talk about 7 things to let go for a better life. Overthinking is like sitting in a rocking chair. It keeps you busy, but it takes you nowhere. And the truth is, most people don't realize how much of their life they lose inside their own mind. You're not fighting the world. You're fighting your thoughts about the world. Sometimes the battle isn't outside. It's happening silently in your head. Have you ever noticed how one small thought becomes a storm, one message left unseen, one conversation that didn't go the way you expected, one delay, one mistake, and suddenly your mind creates hundreds of stories, none of which are true. You begin imagining problems, predicting disasters, replaying past moments again and again, as if you can change them by thinking harder. But all you're doing is exhausting yourself. Overthinking is your mind trying to protect you, but it ends up imprisoning you. It convinces you that thinking more will give you answers. But thinking more often gives you anxiety, not clarity. You start questioning everything. What if I fail? What will people say? What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not enough? And each question becomes a chain, holding you back from moving forward. When you overthink, you don't live the moment. You live the fear of the moment. You stop enjoying life because your mind is too busy creating problems that life hasn't even given you yet. You miss opportunities because you're waiting for the perfect time. You avoid conversations because you rehearse them too much in your head. You don't take action because you're analyzing every tiny detail as if life will give you a guarantee. But the truth is, clarity doesn't come from overthinking. Clarity comes from action. Peace doesn't come from controlling every outcome. It comes from trusting that whatever happens, you will handle it. Letting go of overthinking means choosing trust over fear. It means asking yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? And if it's hurting you, you release it. You breathe. You return to the present moment. Your mind is a powerful servant, but a terrible master. It should work for you, not against you. And when you choose to let go of overthinking, you give yourself the greatest gift: freedom. Freedom to act. Freedom to feel. Freedom to live. You finally experience life as it is, not as your fears paint it to be. And that is the moment you start becoming lighter, calmer, stronger. Because the world becomes a better place the moment your mind becomes a quieter one. Letting go of past hurt is one of the hardest things a human heart can do. Not because we enjoy the pain, but because the pain becomes familiar. It becomes a story we repeat, a wound we carry, a shadow that follows us quietly. Sometimes we hold on to it because it feels like justice. If I forget it, it means what they did was okay. But letting go doesn't mean it was okay. It means you are choosing not to let that moment end your life before your life is over. The truth is, people will hurt you, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unknowingly, sometimes because they themselves are broken and don't know any better. And every time it happens, a part of you tightens, a part of you closes, A part of you says, never again. But the heart is not meant to live in cages. The more you lock it down, the less it feels alive. Holding on to past hurt is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. You suffer while they move on. A painful memory is a loop. You don't just remember what happened, you relive it. The same words, the same betrayal, the same disappointment plays like a movie in your mind. And every replay deepens the wound. The body reacts as if the pain is happening now. Your shoulders tense. Your breathing changes. Your emotions slip into that old pattern. You carry all of it into new relationships, new opportunities, new days. You try to build new chapters with the old hurt still bleeding into the ink. But healing begins the moment you realize the past cannot change. But you can. You cannot go back in time and protect the old you, but you can choose to protect the present you. You can choose to stop giving yesterday the power to destroy your today. Forgiveness is misunderstood. People think it is an act of weakness. It is not. It is the courage to stop letting someone else's mistake shape your life. Forgiving doesn't mean the pain disappears. It means you stop feeding it. It means you stop rehearsing the story in your head every morning. It means you stop expecting an apology that may never come. It means you stop waiting for the past to fix itself. Instead, you accept that you deserve better, and now you will give better to yourself. Letting go of past hurt is not about erasing the memory. It's about removing the emotional weight attached to it. It's about closing a door that has been half open for too long, letting the air of a new life come in. Some people stay attached to their hurt because it became a part of their identity. But you are so much more than what happened to you. You are not the wound, you are the healing. You are not the betrayal, you are the strength that grew from it. When you finally let go, you don't become weaker. You become lighter. You don't lose something, you reclaim everything. Your peace returns. Your clarity returns. Your emotional space opens up. Suddenly, life feels possible again. You start loving again, trusting again, dreaming again, because you are no longer dragging the weight of what someone else did to you. Letting go of past hurt is not a single moment. It's a gentle decision repeated every day. But the day your heart stops looking back, you start truly moving forward. That is the day you begin to live again. Comparison is one of the silent thieves of joy. It doesn't scream, it doesn't break the door, it doesn't attack you suddenly. It seeps in quietly like a slow leak in the roof, one drop at a time. A thought here, a glance there, a conversation, a scroll through social media, and suddenly you feel smaller than you did a moment ago. When you compare yourself to others, you create a world where you can never win. Because there will always be someone who looks happier, someone who earns more, someone more talented, more popular, more appreciated, more confident. And every time you see someone rising, instead of being inspired, you start shrinking. Not because you're not capable, but because you're looking at that chapter 20 while you're still writing your chapter 4. Comparison blinds you from your own growth. You forget where you started. You forget how far you've come. You forget how much you've survived. You forget your struggles, your silent battles, your late nights, your tears, your resilience. You look at someone else's success as if it happened effortlessly, not seeing the pain they hid, the sacrifices they made, the moments they almost gave up. You see the trophy, not the trials. And the worst part is, comparison makes you feel like your life isn't enough. Suddenly, your achievements feel small. Your pace feels slow. Your journey feels insignificant. You begin chasing things not because you want them, but because someone else has them. You start living a life that isn't even yours. You stop listening to your own soul because the noise of the world becomes louder than your inner voice. But here's the truth: you were never meant to walk someone else's path. Your journey is unique, your timing is unique, your purpose is unique. Flowers bloom at different times. A rose doesn't envy a sunflower. A mountain doesn't compare itself to the ocean. Everything in nature blooms when it's meant to. And yet, humans, the most intelligent beings, constantly punish themselves by comparing their journey with others. What if you celebrated your progress instead of comparing it? What if you measured success by the courage you show, the kindness you give, the growth you achieve, not by someone else's timeline? What if you realize that the only person you're truly meant to become better than is who you were yesterday? The truth is, comparison steals the beauty of the present moment. It makes you feel like you're always behind, always lacking, always chasing. You start believing that life is a race, but it's not. Life is not about being the best. It's about being your best. It's not about collecting trophies. It's about collecting experiences. It's not about winning against others. It's about winning against your fears, your doubts, your limitations. Letting go of comparison doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you stop punishing yourself for someone else's success. It means you stop making someone else's highlight reel the measurement of your worth. It means you start appreciating your own strengths, your own pace, your own blessings. The moment you let go of comparison, you feel the world shifting inside you. You breathe easier, you think clearer, you walk lighter. Suddenly, you begin to see your own life with new eyes. Eyes that recognize your beauty, your progress, your uniqueness. You begin to celebrate others without feeling smaller. You begin to grow without pressure. You begin to shine without fear. And that's when life truly becomes yours. Letting go of toxic people is one of the most liberating but emotionally challenging decisions you will ever make. Not because you don't know they're hurting you, but because your heart still remembers the good moments. Your mind clings to the memories. Your emotions hold on to the hope that maybe one day they will change. But sometimes, holding on to someone who drains you is like holding on to a burning coal. The longer you grip it, the deeper it scars you. Toxic people don't always appear toxic at first. They can be charming, supportive, loving, or even helpful in the beginning. But slowly, you start noticing patterns. They take more than they give. They make everything about themselves. They make you feel guilty for having feelings. They dismiss your needs, minimize your pain, and amplify your mistakes. They drain your energy, your confidence, your peace. And instead of helping you grow, they pull you into emotional quicksand. The more you try to stay afloat, the deeper you sink. Sometimes toxicity doesn't come from dramatic arguments or loud conflicts. Often, it comes in subtle forms: constant criticism disguised as advice, manipulation wrapped in concern, or disrespect masked as just joking. They poke your insecurities, trigger your doubts, and confuse your emotions. And slowly, you start questioning yourself instead of questioning their behavior. You begin to wonder if you're overreacting, if you're too sensitive, if you're the problem. That is what emotional toxins do. They distort your perception until you forget your own worth. Letting go becomes hard because toxic people aren't toxic all the time. There are moments when they're loving, supportive, gentle, and those moments keep you hooked. You find yourself waiting for the version of them that felt good, hoping that version will stay. But toxic relationships operate like emotional roller coasters. Highs so high they give you hope, and lows so low they break your spirit. And you get stuck in the cycle, believing the high points are real and the lows are temporary. But here is the truth. People who genuinely care for you don't make your mind a battlefield. They don't make your heart feel heavy. They don't leave you constantly guessing, apologizing, or shrinking yourself to keep them comfortable. Healthy relationships feel like peace. Toxic ones feel like walking on broken glass. Careful, tense, anxious, afraid of the next cut. Sometimes the most painful part is when the toxic person is someone you deeply love, a partner, a friend, a family member. Walking away from them feels like tearing off a part of your heart, but staying with them is like slowly suffocating your soul. You cannot heal in the same environment that keeps hurting you. You cannot grow while you're watering a dead plant. You cannot become who you're meant to be while carrying the emotional weight of someone who doesn't respect or value your well-being. Letting go doesn't mean you hate them. It means you love yourself enough to stop allowing the pain. It means you choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, growth over stagnation. It means you understand that you can care about people from a distance. You can forgive them without staying connected. You can wish them well without letting them destroy your inner world. The moment you release toxic people, something magical happens. Your mind becomes lighter, your heart becomes calmer, your confidence returns, your energy rises. Suddenly, life feels breathable again, like stepping out of a dark room into fresh air. You begin rediscovering yourself. You realize how much of your identity you dim just to keep someone else comfortable. You start living for yourself again, thinking clearly, smiling genuinely, sleeping peacefully. You grow, you heal, you flourish. Letting go is not the end of love. It is the beginning of freedom. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away from what's poisoning your soul. Letting go of the need to control everything is one of the most powerful shifts you can make in your life. And yet, it's one of the hardest, because control gives us the illusion of safety. It makes us feel like if we just plan enough, predict enough, prepare enough, we can stop anything bad from happening. We try to control situations, outcomes, people, emotions, timing, all in the hope that life will go exactly the way we imagine. But life is not something to be controlled, it is something to be experienced. And the more you try to control every detail, the more anxious, frustrated, and exhausted you become. Because life simply does not move according to our script. It never has, and it never will. Think about how much energy you lose trying to manage things that were never in your hands. You worry about how people think of you, how situations will unfold, how someone will react, whether everything will go perfectly. You try to shape every moment with your expectations. And when reality behaves differently, you feel disappointed, scared, or even betrayed. But the truth is, it's not life betraying you. It's your expectations controlling you. The need to control comes from fear. Fear of uncertainty, fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of failure. Fear that things will fall apart if you're not constantly holding them. But what if the opposite is true? What if the moment you stop gripping so tightly, things naturally fall into place? Control is a form of emotional tension. It's like clenching your fist all day. You think it keeps you secure, but by the end your hand is tired, numb, and painful. The same happens with the heart. Trying to control everything keeps your mind in a constant state of alertness. You're always calculating, predicting, preparing. You become mentally exhausted long before the day even begins. And here's the reality: you cannot control people. You cannot control their feelings, their choices, their loyalty, their maturity, or their truth. You cannot control situations, not fully. You cannot control timing, no matter how desperately you want something right now. Life operates on its own rhythm, and sometimes the timing you want is far smaller than the timing life has planned for you. Letting go of control doesn't mean being irresponsible or careless. It means understanding the difference between what's yours and what's not. Your effort is yours. Your attitude is yours. Your growth is yours. Your actions are yours. But the outcome that belongs to life, when you stop trying to control everything, you begin to trust more. Trust yourself. Trust your strength. Trust your journey. Trust that even if things go differently than you imagined, they can still turn out beautifully. Trust that life is not against you, it's guiding you. There's a kind of peace that comes when you surrender the need to force things. When you stop micromanaging every moment, the mind finally breathes. You begin to notice that some of the best things in your life happened unexpectedly. Without planning, without controlling, without forcing, they just unfolded naturally, organically, effortlessly. Letting go of control softens you. It makes you kinder to yourself. You no longer panic when things shift. You adapt. You no longer fear uncertainty. You open to it. You no longer feel the pressure to make everything perfect. You allow things to be human, imperfect, real. And slowly, life becomes lighter. Your mind becomes calmer. Your relationships become healthier because you stop trying to shape people into who you want them to be and begin appreciating them as they are. Your journey becomes more beautiful because you're no longer chasing certainty. You're embracing possibility. Sometimes, the greatest growth comes when you loosen your grip and say, let life happen. Because when you stop trying to control every door, life opens the ones meant for you. When you stop forcing the timing, life brings things exactly when you're ready. When you stop fighting reality, peace finds you. Letting go of control is not losing power, it's gaining freedom. Freedom to flow with life instead of fighting it. Freedom to trust instead of fearing. Freedom to live instead of overmanaging. And when you finally release the need to control everything, you begin to realize that the world keeps moving, opportunities keep arriving, love keeps finding you, and life keeps unfolding beautifully, effortlessly, and exactly as it should. Letting go of the fear of judgment is like unlocking a door you didn't even realize you were trapped behind. For most of our lives, we behave as if the world is watching our every move, analyzing every step, criticizing every choice. We speak less, dream less, try less, express less. Not because we are incapable, but because we are terrified of what they will think. But have you ever asked yourself, who are they? And why do they have so much control over your life? Fear of judgment is a silent prison. It makes you edit who you are to fit into someone else's expectations. You hide your true self, your creativity, your desires, your personality, just so someone else doesn't disapprove. You refuse to try new things because you're scared of looking foolish. You stop taking risks because you're afraid of failing in front of others. You silence your voice because you fear it won't be accepted. And slowly, you become a dimmed version of your own potential. The truth is, most people are too busy thinking about themselves to judge you the way you imagine. Everyone is worried about their own insecurities, their own flaws, their own lives. We assume the world is staring at us, but in reality, everyone is looking at their own reflection. Overestimating people's attention is one of the biggest illusions the mind creates. You think you're being watched, but most of the time, no one is watching. And even if they do judge you, what then? Their judgment won't stop your heartbeat. It won't end your future. It won't diminish your talent. It won't take away your purpose. But if you let it control you, you will stop yourself. You become your own obstacle, your own enemy, your own limitation. External judgment becomes internal fear. Internal fear becomes hesitation, and hesitation becomes a lifetime of unexplored possibilities. Think about this. Some people will judge you no matter what you do. If you're quiet, they'll judge your silence. If you speak up, they'll judge your confidence. If you work hard, they'll judge your ambition. If you rest, they'll judge your laziness. If you're different, they'll judge your uniqueness. You cannot escape the judgments of the world, but you can escape the prison of caring about them. Every great person you admire, thinkers, creators, leaders, was judged. Some were mocked, some were misunderstood, some were rejected. But what made them extraordinary was not the absence of judgment. It was the presence of courage. They chose authenticity over approval. They chose progress over perfection. They chose self-belief over public opinions. When you let go of the fear of judgment, something powerful happens inside you. Your energy shifts. Your confidence rises. Your voice becomes clearer. You start doing things not for validation, but for passion. You stop performing life like a stage show, constantly checking the audience's reaction. Instead, you start living life from your soul, raw, honest, free. You begin expressing yourself without hesitation. You start trying things you always wanted to try, not because you're sure you'll succeed, but because you're not scared of failing publicly. You speak your truth without editing it. You walk your path without seeking permission. You live in a way that feels right to you, not in a way that pleases others. And here's the beautiful irony. When you stop caring about being judged, people start respecting you more. Authenticity has power, confidence has magnetism, freedom has beauty. The world admires people who stand tall in their truth, not those who shrink into the shadows of fear. Letting go of judgment doesn't mean becoming careless. It means becoming courageous. It means trusting yourself enough to walk your journey without needing constant applause. It means understanding that your worth is not measured by public opinion, but by your own heart. The day you stop living for others, you start truly living for yourself. You begin doing things that light your soul instead of impressing the crowd. You allow yourself to grow, to fail, to rise, to learn, to shine. You become unstoppable because nothing external can control a person who is internally free. And that is the kind of freedom you deserve. Letting go of expectations is one of the most liberating experiences a person can have, yet we rarely realize how tightly we hold on to them. Expectations are invisible scripts we write in our mind, how people should behave, how life should unfold, how relationships should look, how success should happen, how quickly things should work out. And every time reality takes a different path, we feel frustrated, disappointed, betrayed, not because life was unfair, but because our expectations were rigid. We build entire worlds in our minds, perfect conversations, perfect timings, perfect outcomes. We plan how others should respond, how opportunities should come, how love should feel, how careers should progress. But real life doesn't follow the script we create. Life is spontaneous, unpredictable, beautifully wild, and when we cling to expectations, we create suffering for ourselves. We don't get hurt by life, we get hurt by the story we told ourselves about how life should be. Expectations come from desire, but they are shaped by ego. The ego wants control, it wants reassurance, it wants certainty, it wants life to obey. And when life doesn't obey, the ego feels attacked. That's when emotions like anger, disappointment, confusion, and sadness rise. Not because something terrible happened, but because something different happened. Think about how many times you've been upset because someone didn't behave the way you expected. A friend didn't reply in the time you imagined. A partner didn't express love in the way you wanted. A family member didn't appreciate your efforts the way you hoped. You weren't truly hurt by their actions. You were hurt by your expectations of their actions. The same happens with success. You expect to achieve something by a certain age. Finish your studies, get a job, get married, buy a house, start a business, become stable, all by a timeline you quietly carry in your mind. And when the timeline shifts, you feel like you're behind. But behind according to who? Life does not move in a straight line. Some grow slowly, some bloom suddenly. Some discover their purpose early, some much later. Expectations make you feel like you're losing, even when you're progressing. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean lowering your standards or settling for less. It means allowing life to unfold without forcing it to match your mental image. It means giving room for surprises, detours, and divine timing. It means trusting that what is meant for you will not need to be chased or controlled. Expectations often damage relationships. They create pressure instead of connection. Instead of understanding people as they are, you measure them by how closely they fit your imagined version of them. Instead of appreciating their efforts, you compare them to what you wish they'd do. This is how expectations create resentment. You start feeling unappreciated, unseen, unloved, when in reality, people might be giving you their best, just not in the way you pictured. When you let go of expectations, you begin to see people clearly. You start appreciating what they give instead of worrying about what they didn't. You respond to reality, not imagination. You build relationships on understanding, not demand. Letting go of expectations also invites peace. Your mind stops anticipating every detail. You stop living in the future. You stop creating unnecessary pressure. You start accepting life's rhythm instead of resisting it. You begin flowing instead of forcing. Something magical happens when expectations drop. You begin living in the present moment. Suddenly, small joys feel bigger. Surprises feel sweeter. Relationships feel lighter. Life feels less like a test and more like an experience. You stop trying to shape every moment and instead learn to receive. You stop waiting for things to be perfect and start appreciating them as they are. You stop measuring your journey against imaginary standards and begin honoring your growth. The truth is, expectations are heavy. They weigh down your heart, your relationships, and your happiness. Releasing them doesn't make you careless, it makes you peaceful. It transforms disappointment into acceptance, anger into understanding, pressure into freedom. And when you finally let go, you realize something profound. Life becomes beautiful not when everything happens the way you expect, but when you stop expecting and start experiencing. That is when your soul becomes light, your heart becomes open, and your life becomes truly your own.